Hello, welcome to DeVerbo TV. My name is Brian Bowles, and we are here with your course, Better English for a Better Job. This is Module 1, where we're going to look at helping you prepare yourself, putting your skills in writing so that you can create an effective cover letter and a CV that will hopefully get you to the next stage for an interview. In this module, we're going to be dividing the material into 5 units. Unit 1 is going to help you do a self-assessment to prepare yourself for evaluating your skills and preparing for what you need to apply your skills for the job. Unit 2 will be devoted to writing an effective cover letter. Units 3 and 4, we're going to look in a 2-part series at writing an effective CV or resume. And in Unit 5, we're going to add some practice and some polish to get you ready for the next round. So here in Unit 1, we're going to look at the very first thing you need to do in any job search, and that is a self-assessment. Specifically in this unit, we're going to be looking at 5 things. First, we're going to look at our assessment objectives. Secondly, we're going to identify the selection criteria of the job. Thirdly, researching the company. Fourthly, assessing and inventorying yourself. And the 5th area that we're going to look at is networking and creating your own personal brand. In a recent study conducted by theladders.com, they asked the question, how long does it take the average recruiter to look at and read a CV? The answer was just over 6 seconds, which tells us that when we begin looking at how we need to assess and how we need to look at our objectives for applying to a job, in creating a CV, we have a very short period of time that we have to put all the information in just to pass to the next round. Well, what we essentially will do is look at each of the areas, and there are 5 areas in which we need to match your skills with the job. The first area, of course, is your cover letter, which is used to introduce yourself and convince the employer to find out a little bit more about you. Number 2, your CV is a summary of the most relevant experience and accomplishments in your professional life. Thirdly, of course, making it to the interview is your opportunity, your chance to impress the employer in the face-to-face situation and to talk in more detail about your abilities. Fourthly, perhaps there will be further psychological and skills tests that an employer might give you in order for them to have deeper insight as to your abilities. These could be technical skill tests, mental skill tests, or socio-emotional tests. And 5th and lastly, times have changed, and your presence and reputation out in the social airwaves will also play a very significant role in creating your personal brand that will attract the company to your skills. We'll talk a little bit more about this in a moment. And on top of this, you need to do all of this preparation in English. Some people say, if you're not a native English speaker, then you can begin and do your research about the company, about your skills in your own language, and then just translate. From our experience as professional English teachers, we have found that the more translating you do, the more difficult it is. Any way we look at this, it's going to be difficult. Our advice to you is to begin to change your mentality from the beginning. Start with your assessment from the beginning. Is this easy? No. Do you understand me 100% right now? Probably not. But the earlier, the sooner that you begin assessing yourself in English, the more and more rapidly you will learn, and pretty soon you will begin to hopefully think and function better in English, which will prepare you better for your interview and your ultimate opportunity to prove to your employer that you can do the job in English. Well, to apply to the job, the first thing, of course, that we need to do is identify what our job criteria is. Seems obvious, but what we need to do is we need to look at the following areas: the job duties, the position requirements, and any additional or preferred skills or experience that are needed for the job. What we'll be doing as we go through is to help you with the vocabulary that you need to match the job criteria with your particular skill set and personality. So where do we go to get this information? Well, of course, in most cases, whether it's a governmental job or a private job, you usually go to the job listing place on the website, or perhaps in any job listing, job search engines. And if that information is there, then that's easy. However, if the job duties and responsibilities are a little bit limited, or if this particular job is not posted, then of course you need to go to somebody inside the company. And in finding that inside contact, you need to make sure that you get a proper list of all the job duties and requirements necessary for the job. Of course, once you have this list of the job criteria, you will try to match your knowledge, skills, qualifications, and experience to make a good match for your opportunity to work for the company. Now, any recruiter knows that sometimes it's difficult to have the perfect match for a job. So, in any situation, what they're doing is they're looking at your qualifications to make the best possible match, at least to pass to the next round, what we call the short list. And in essence, what you do is you qualify to go on, and they will look at your CV a little bit more, or they will invite you for an interview. So the first thing you need to do, of course, with all of your areas of knowledge and experience, is to begin writing down your skills that you can identify. And we can look at our skills in the following areas: specific technical skills, such as calculating, coding, network security, quality control; problem-solving skills and analyzing data, such as collecting information, anticipating problems, new approaches to finding solutions, things like that. How about creative thinking skills, such as brainstorming, combining approaches, being open to new ideas? And then there's planning and organizing skills, where it's important to have time management, prioritizing skills, along with balancing responsibilities. The ability to work as part of a team is, of course, a skill where you need to define your goals, build trust, deal with personalities that could be different. And then we have excellent written and oral communication skills. And if you have these, then you will be good perhaps at report writing, presentations, and even listening to people. And with motivation and leadership skills, then you will be good at decision making, delegating, and incentivizing. And also, we can look at the skill to perform well under stress, which of course is where you are able to find a balance in chaotic situations, to have calm decision-making abilities, and to meet the deadlines independent of the situation. With these and many other skills, it's important for you to begin processing to identify your skill in English vocabulary, of course. All of these areas will help identify what we call in English your core competencies. And your core competencies are what you will use, of course, to sell yourself to the employer. Just like somebody tries to sell you a car. If you want to buy a car, well, it depends on what you want, and you're trying to match your skills with what the buyer wants. 2 doors, 4 doors, economy, luxury, big car, economy size. Your core competencies will sell you. So, from the very beginning, you need to look at the job criteria or the duties and begin to match your skills. And even from the start, it's helpful to think about how you can explain and provide some examples and evidence in the situation where you have been able to solve problems. And there's a little technique, a formula that we use to help you do this that you can begin thinking of early on. It's called the STAR formula or the STAR technique. And it has 4 components. It's an acronym for the following words. S for situation. Of course, this is referring to the situation that you faced where there was a problem. Where, when, the context, and thinking of the example of what the situation was. T for task. This refers to what was expected of you and what you did or you needed to do to achieve the overall goal. Was the problem solved? All right. A for action. What did you do? Why did you decide on the particular course of action? What were the advantages over other different actions? So ultimately, how you solve the problem. And R, the result. What did you achieve? What was the result of your course of action? What was the ultimate outcome and the result? So let's look at an example of how we can apply the STAR technique. Let's take, for example, a creative thinking skill situation. Imagine if you, for example, are an employee with a company that produces software. And let's imagine that the situation was that the company was about to lose an account with a client due to some technical problems. The task, you were part of a team that was put together to solve the problem and to create some new software, a new program for the problem. What was the action? You provided the key idea that not only solved the problem, but made the program more efficient and the technical problems to disappear. And the ultimate result? Well, not only did you solve the problem for the client, but you actually made the process more efficient, which in the future brought in more revenue for the company. Remember, your ultimate goal is, when you eventually get to the interview session, is to be able to, for any problem situation, provide an example or 2 or 3 examples of how you have solved similar problems to show your abilities and skills, independent of whatever type of skill.